As soap pairings go, Jodie seems about as likely to succeed as Mary Taylor joining a sewing club with Gary Windass. Yet sparks are clearly flying between the troubled pair ever since Daniel invited her to stay with him. To be fair, Jodie was hardly in a position to be selective. After her revenge plan against Shona Platt collapsed spectacularly when she failed to seduce Shona's husband, David Platt, she needed somewhere else to live. And Daniel Osborne turned out to be the perfect target. Allowing Weatherfield's own version of Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction to settle into your spare room might not be the wisest move, but Daniel has hardly been thinking clearly lately. The troubled teacher at Weatherfield High has been spiraling ever since the street discovered that his girlfriend, Megan Walsh, had only been dating him to cover up the fact she was abusing his underage student, Will Driscoll. Things became even worse after a cruel remark from Hope Stape caused Daniel to lose his temper at school, leading to Mrs. Crenshaw suspending him from Weatherfield High. The only reason he originally let Jodie stay was because she threatened to reveal that he had lied about taking a trip to the lakes, when in reality he had been hiding in his flat and drinking alone. Oddly enough, Jodie has actually been helping Daniel. She has made herself indispensable around the house, much like she did while settling into life with the Platts. It raises the question, are these two becoming genuine friends, or is something more beginning to develop? However, once Daniel starts pulling himself together for Bertie's sake, he cautiously suggests that it might be time for Jodie to move on. Soon afterwards, Daniel becomes the target of an online troll called Truth Teller, who spreads vicious rumors claiming Daniel knew about Megan grooming Will from the beginning. And unsurprisingly, the culprit is Jodie. What she does not realize is that she is pushing Daniel dangerously close to breaking point. In upcoming Coronation Street scenes, Daniel is confronted by two masked teenagers who throw paint over him while hurling abuse. Enraged, Daniel lashes out and threatens the pair, who laugh at him while recording the entire confrontation on their phones. The incident leaves him looking deeply unstable and emotionally shattered. But things deteriorate even further when Ken Barlow learns about the attack and encourages Daniel to take another holiday. Racked with guilt, Daniel finally admits that he never went away at all and had instead been hiding in his flat with only Jodie beside him. Ken is horrified and insists that Bertie deserves far better from his father. Has Jodie's latest manipulation finally pushed Daniel to absolute rock bottom? Leanne's romantic history on Coronation Street has been anything but dull, with a love life dramatic enough to rival any reality dating show. Over the years, she has been involved with manipulative cult leader Rowan, reunited with childhood sweetheart and former husband Nick Tilsley, who later betrayed her by sleeping with her sister Toya Battersby, and endured a stormy marriage to Peter Barlow. She also shared a romance with Corrie favorite Steve McDonald, a relationship overshadowed by the devastating loss of their baby son Oliver. Now, however, romance could finally be returning to Leanne's life, offering her some welcome relief from her recent mission to take revenge on sinister predator Megan Walsh. Executive producer Kate Brooks recently teased the arrival of a dangerous yet charismatic new love interest connected to Alia Nazir. The newcomer, Idris, is Alia's cousin and quickly makes an impression with his confidence and charm. Kate described him as a smooth businessman with a ruthless side, someone who is not afraid to bend the rules when necessary, while still managing to win people over effortlessly. According to Kate, Idris and Leanne share an instant attraction that brings excitement and energy back into Leanne's life. Of course, in Coronation Street, things are rarely straightforward. Idris first appears when he steps in to help Bertie at Speed Doll after a group of loud businessmen begin causing trouble. Taking control of the situation, he throws the men out before receiving a warm welcome from Alia. It is during this encounter that Leanne first notices him. Later, Idris catches Leanne's attention again when he watches her confidently deal with a threatening thug. Clearly impressed, he invites her for drinks at the Rovers. The pair immediately hit it off, and before long, Idris moves in for a kiss. But while Leanne is swept up in the excitement, Alia reacts with concern after learning about the kiss and warns her to stay away from Idris. It soon becomes clear why. Shortly afterwards, Idris heads down the street and begins openly flirting with Tracy Barlow. Leanne and Tracy have a long history of conflict, especially after Tracy attacked Leanne for sleeping with Steve years earlier. Although Leanne can certainly stand her ground, taking on Tracy over a man could prove risky given Tracy's explosive past. By trying to charm two of Coronation Street's toughest women at the same time, Idris may be setting himself up for serious trouble. The big question is whether Leanne is heading for another painful heartbreak. The mystery surrounding the death of one of Coronation Street's most hated villains is continuing to intensify as the police search for Theo's killer. The gripping murder investigation is packed with suspects, all of whom had strong reasons to want Theo gone for good. One of the main suspects is Todd Grimshaw, Theo's long-suffering partner, who spent months suffering both physical and emotional torment during their toxic relationship. Todd's close friend and father figure George Shuttleworth also had plenty of reasons to despise Theo after recognizing the signs of abuse early on. George's partner, Christina Boyd, likewise became caught up in the situation while supporting Todd through his ordeal. Meanwhile, police attention has also turned towards Gary Windus, whose violent past makes him an obvious person of interest. Another possible suspect is Summer Spellman, who blamed Theo for abandoning her stepfather, Billy Mayhew, during the devastating minibus fire. Then there is Theo's furious former wife, Danielle Silverton. Theo left Danielle and their children behind in order to be with Todd, and she is now returning to Weatherfield for Theo's funeral, carrying a shocking revelation for Todd. So where does Ryan Connor fit into the chaos? The Chariot Square Hotel manager has experienced more than his fair share of trauma over the years. Ryan was famously switched at birth, battled addiction problems, and survived a horrific acid attack that had originally been intended for Daisy Midgley by her obsessive stalker. Following the attack, Ryan struggled deeply with his self-esteem and spiraled into steroid misuse and online sex work while trying to regain control of his life. Thankfully, after a difficult recovery, he has recently managed to rebuild his confidence and find stability again. Lately, Ryan has been focused on protecting his boss and friend, Debbie Webster, from losing the Chariot Square Hotel to her manipulative son, Carl Webster. However, upcoming Coronation Street scenes will drag Ryan directly into Theo's murder investigation after he reveals that he spotted one of the suspects near the crime scene on the night Theo died. Tensions are already high after Christina's false statement to police forced George into implicating Summer, leaving Todd furious and unwilling to attend Theo's funeral. Things become even more explosive when Danielle arrives and publicly accuses Todd of murdering Theo for his insurance payout in front of several shocked residents. When Mary Taylor jumps to Todd's defense and suggests Danielle herself may have killed Theo, Danielle storms away in anger. That is when Ryan follows her outside and makes a startling revelation. He recognizes Danielle from the very night Theo was murdered. What exactly was Danielle doing on the cobbles that evening, and could Ryan now be placing himself in danger by exposing her secret? Coronation Street airs on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and streams on ITVX.